The Adeyemi family had saved for 7 years before they broke ground. Folake remembered the exact morning it began, early spring, the grass still damp with dew, her husband Tan standing in the middle of an empty plot with a roll of blueprints tucked under his arm like a man holding something sacred. Their 2 children, Ao and little Beezy, ran wild circles around the wooden stakes the surveyor had left in the ground, shrieking with the kind of joy that only comes from not yet understanding what any of it meant. "This will be the kitchen," Tan said, pointing to a patch of weeds. "Right here. So when your mother is cooking, she can see you both in the garden." Folake laughed and pressed her hand to his arm. "You've already decided where the garden goes to?" "I've decided everything," he said, grinning. "I just haven't told the builders yet." It wasn't a grand house. They'd never wanted grand. What they wanted was a place where the afternoon light would fall just right across the living room floor, where the kids could leave their shoes by the door without anyone fussing, where the smell of jollof rice could drift from the kitchen window into the yard on a Sunday. The first few months were mostly noise and dust. Concrete trucks groaning up the unpaved road. Men in hard hats calling out to each other over the whine of saws. Folake would drive past after work just to watch the foundation harden, the way you'd check on a wound to see if it was healing. Ao, 12 and endlessly curious, begged to come along every time. "Why does it take so long?" he asked one evening, watching workers lay block after block in the fading light. "Because a house isn't just walls," his father told him. "It's a promise. You don't rush a promise." By summer, the frame stood. Wooden beams rising against the sky like the ribs of something enormous and alive. Folake remembers the day they let Beezy, only 6, hammer a single nail into one of the support beams, her tiny fist gripping the handle, Tan's hand steadying hers, the nail going in crooked but proud. They never plastered over that spot. It stayed there in what would become the hallway, a small imperfect mark that meant we were here, we made this. There were harder days too. Comfort isn't the absence of struggle, just the presence of people willing to stay close through it. The contractor went over budget. A storm flooded the lower foundation in August and they spent a sweltering weekend bailing water with buckets, all 4 of them, soaked and laughing because what else could you do but laugh? Tan took on extra shifts. Folake learned to patch drywall from videos at midnight after the children were asleep, her reading glasses sliding down her nose, plaster dust settling into the creases of her knuckles. But slowly, room by room, the house began to breathe. The kitchen came together first, pale wood cabinets, a window exactly where Tan had promised, looking out over what would one day be Folake's garden. She stood in that empty kitchen for a long while one evening, just imagining, the clatter of pots, Beezy's homework spread across the counter, the steam curling up from a pot of stew. Even unfinished, even with wires still hanging from the ceiling, it already felt like home. By the time autumn came, they'd moved in the essentials, a mattress on the living room floor, a kettle, 3 folding chairs. The house was far from finished. Half the rooms still smelled of fresh paint and sawdust. But that first night, the whole family sat together on the bare wooden floor, eating rice straight from the pot, the windows still without curtains, moonlight pouring in unguarded and soft. "It's not done," Ao said, looking around at the exposed beams and unfinished trim. "No," Tan agreed, pulling Beezy onto his lap as she yawned against his shoulder. "But it's already ours." Folake leaned her head against her husband's arm and looked around at the 4 walls they had willed into existence, not perfect, not finished, but solid and warm and entirely theirs. Outside, the wind moved gently through the half-built garden, rustling the seedlings she'd planted too early, hopeful as ever. She thought about all the nails, the long nights, the arguments over paint colors that had felt enormous at the time and now seemed almost funny. All of it had led here, to this small, unfinished, beautiful room, where her family sat together on the floor, full and warm and home. A house, she realized, was never really finished. You just kept choosing, every day, to fill it with the people you loved. That was enough.